Good afternoon. I want to use this opportunity to say welcome back again to our third session, our third our third retreat session for today, day 2, and we are backed by the theme faith in action. God have we back. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining our retreat, our virtual retreat 2021, the virtual edition, right? Despite the many ups and downs of the internet, because I got a message here that Flo is having some technical difficulties in the Montego Bay area. But nevertheless, we pressing along same way, right? We're live on YouTube. So all our YouTube persons who are online now, welcome, 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 welcome to those who are here on our Zoom platform. Welcome to you as well. And we just appreciate each and every one of you for our attending in our different sessions. We started off earlier with our Zoom exercise, and man, we did some working out, right? And then we moved into our virtual prayer zone, and we did send up some prayer, right? We did send up some prayer on some topical issues affecting us locally and as well as globally. Now, today, right now, this afternoon, we will be having our session. We'll be having our session becoming marketable for the fourth industrial revolution. Wow, that's a big topic. That's a big, heavy topic, and may not be entirely covered, today. But our presenter, Miss Santana Morris, will, you know, will be delving into that some more. What it entails, how we can upskill ourselves, have something on the side going for us, and what to do to be prepared, because truth and in fact we are in the fourth industrial revolution. Jamaica and a whole is behind as it concerns abreasting ourselves to match the global market, because we're not talking about locally right now, but so what do we need to do to catch up, because we Jamaica is behind. That's the truth, right? So the pandemic only shoved us to say, okay, no longer behind. We have to get with it. We have to get with what is happening. We have to get with the time, right? Gone are the days when everybody want to become doctors, lawyers, teachers, nurses, and the list continues. We need to tap into some of those, you know, into some of those non-traditional job form, in some of those non-traditional skill sets, and how we can, you know, have something going for us just the same. So I just want to remind you that later today at 6, after the session has ended, We'll be breaking and return at 6 p.m. using the same Zoom information, and we'll be having our gender talk part 2. The males will be by themselves and the females among themselves discussing and getting down into it, and a link will be circulated as well for you to post questions anonymously to our presenter during the Q&A segment of our gender talk. We have some issues that some persons don't necessarily want to, there are issues that male face that they don't feel comfortable sharing among, mixed up. So we have separated it and, having that discussion. Okay, so join us again later today at 6 p.m. for our gender talk part 2. You don't want to miss it. Okay, so with no further ado, I'll now introduce our guest speaker. She's already here, and so I'm going to go ahead and introduce whom will be coming to us shortly. Another information is tomorrow Saturday, April 10th, the Jamaica Baptist Union will be having a little meeting with persons who are interested in becoming a camp counselor. So those who are interested in becoming a camp counselor, it will be a virtual camp. So persons who are interested in becoming a part of that, you are urged to register. You're asked to register. To be a part of that segment. I'm not sure how it is going to be done, what medium, but I'm guessing that when you register, you'll get the information sent to you. You'll be briefed on more information, right? And I'm sure it's not every day they're going to have camp and so on. So you can check out necessary details, and also spread the word. Now, we have a virtual youth booth, right? The St. James Baptist Youth Association has put together a virtual youth booth with all the information, the booklet that let me see if I can post the link. I'll be posting the link shortly. So check out our youth booth with the information that is in there. The Hope Summer Youth Program is back again. You may have siblings who are youngsters, high schoolers, etc., and they will not be occupied with anything this summer. They can take part in the Hope Summer Youth Employment Program. The flyer as well is also in the youth booth, where you can get it from there and circulate it. And all the information that you need to register, it's also there as well. So let me post the link, and once you click on it from your Android phone, I'm not sure how it will work for those who are iPhone users, right? So let me post the link in the chat here. All right, thank you, Sabrina. So here is the link in the group. Can click and check out our virtual youth booth. The youth booth. All right. And also the registration form is in there as well as some other material. So check it out, right? To our YouTubers, to our YouTube listeners and viewers, welcome again, welcome. Now at this time, I'll introduce our guest speaker. Santana N. Morris is an education development specialist, lecturer, literacy author, and former Jamaica Youth Ambassador to the United Nations. Morris also serves as Executive Director of Jamaica Intensive Reading Clinic and Distinguished President at the Kiwanis Club of Young Professionals, Western Jamaica. Morris earned a diploma and a bachelor's degree in education at the Shortwood Teachers College with honors and her master's degree in management from the University of Technology. Morris also earned a professional certificate from the International Center for Parliamentary Studies in Strategic Economic Diplomacy in London and a PhD candidate and is a PhD candidate at the University of the West Indies Mona campus. Despite her vocational responsibilities as a full-time lecturer, Miss Morris finds time to serve the wider community. Morris has been closely connected to literacy education over the years, having served as the organizer for 3 annual summer reading camps across Jamaica, an initiative that impacts over 2,000 children annually. She recently published 6 literacy books to help children develop critical thinking skills. She is a recipient of both national and regional awards. She has received the Governor General's Achievement Award, Prime Minister's Youth Award, the 30 Under 30 Emerging Leaders Award issued in Washington, D.C., Musgrave Youth Award issued by the Council Institute of Jamaica, and the newly minted Justice of the Peace, and is my church sister in Christ, which I've worked with her before, and it gives me great privilege to welcome Miss Santana Morris at this time.
Thank you very much. I am really grateful, for the invitation. I am just coming out of a class and I had internet challenges. I was just praying that, the internet will stay up for this presentation.
Yes.
So with that said, I'm just going to beg for your permission to keep my video off, at least for the first session, so that I can save the bandwidth.
Okay, sure.
Thank you. This afternoon, we will be talking about becoming marketable for the fourth industrial revolution. And after looking at the topic, I said to myself, wow, this is indeed a big topic. But we cannot escape the fact that we are in a globalized age. With that said, it means that things are moving rapidly. And if we do not move with the time, then we will get left behind. When I was thinking about the topic, scripture came to mind, and with the Christianity, with the Christianity aspect of my life, I couldn't ignore looking at it from a religious perspective. And the scripture came to mind from 2 Corinthians 5, verses 17. And it says, therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come. The old has gone, the new is here. So when we think about that, the question that we want to ask ourselves is, what is this really saying to us? And if truth and, if we were to think about the scripture and reflect on it, you would see that even the word of God is encouraging you to move with the time. Now, it is evident, as I said earlier, that we are experiencing what we call globalization, where the world is moving at a rapid pace with the increase of technology. And the jargon that is used to describe this process from an educational perspective is the Industrial Revolution. Now, for the benefit of persons who do not understand the Industrial Revolution and what it is really about, the Industrial Revolution describes the era that we are in and how that era evolve over time. And if you were to do your research, you would have come across several information that shows that we had the first industrial revolution that stemmed between 1760 to 1940. And between this period, persons actually introduced important concepts such as mechanism, STEM power, and both industrialization and urbanization, and so on. And this was the era when persons were introduced to producing and shipping goods from one country to another. Then we were introduced to the second industrial revolution, which fell between 1870 to 1914. And the second revolution, industrial revolution, looked at the emergence of businesses and new technologies like telegraph. And persons used to use telegraphs to communicate back then, and typewriters. Now, thank God for evolution. We no longer use typewriters. We no longer use post office and all of those things that they use. We have technologies at our fingertips to communicate with our loved ones and, business partners and so on. Then we were introduced to the third industrial revolution. And the third industrial revolution fell between the category or the years of 1950s to the early 21st century. And if we were to look at this is when they gave birth to the internet. And, when the internet came in, it brought us closer to each other, and it gave us an opportunity to stay in our home country and socialize with other people, do business with other people, and network, accordingly. Now, to add to that, earlier I heard our brother talking about the fourth industrial revolution and saying that, it is now in some countries, right? And he was emphasizing the fact that as Jamaica, we need to, we really need to grow so that we can match up with the world, With that said, we have to look at the fourth industrial revolution, which is the major focus today. Now, when we think about the fourth industrial revolution from an educational perspective, a famous quote came to mind for me and for you when you think about it. The fourth industrial revolution will basically reach its full flower, not under the guidance of today's management using yesterday's ideas, but tomorrow's leaders finding novel ways to integrate, optimize, and refine all aspects of life in the digital and physical worlds to which they hold dual citizenship. Now, the question that we want to ask ourselves again here is, how can we market ourselves to match up to this great fourth industrial revolution? And there are different aspects of your lives that you can invest in so that you can become marketable for the age of time. And the first point that I wish to stress on is to invest in education and training, because best believe the world of education is changing rapidly and it's not going anywhere. I'm just going to ask you for just 1 minute to just close my door. 1 moment. Perfect, thank you. So the world of education is not going anywhere. And this is very evident, whereas we are currently in a pandemic, and instead of pausing the world or pausing the education aspect, guess what they did? They transferred everything to online learning. So for most of us who are, for myself, who is a teacher, and for other persons who are studying, they now access education from their bedrooms, from their living rooms, and elsewhere. So this goes to show that we cannot escape education, because education and training, those are two critical aspects that we need in order to succeed in today's society and in the future. And I always tell students and young adults when I speak to them that, listen to me, when you invest in your education, this is something that no one on this earth can take away from you. So do not bypass this process. Then after the fact, or after the educational point, we have to ensure that we decide on our digital brand, which is important. Now, how do you want the world to see you? How do you present yourself to the world? That's something that you need to consider, because what you show people is what they will accept of you, and the impression that you give, that's how people are going to treat you. Because we're not mind readers. We cannot just say, okay, look at that person. That person is so and so. We can only assume, right? But the assumption rather will be short-lived, because when you rise to prove yourselves, then whatever you have proven will replace the assumptions that people have of you. With that said, you have to ensure that you decide on your digital brand. What is it that you want to show to the world, and how do you want the world to see you? Now, how you present yourself to the world is how you are going to be accepted. And is it that you want to be seen as a change agent? Is it that you want to be seen as an educator? Is it that you want to be seen as a scientist? No, anything that you have in mind, any goals or objectives that you have to ensure that you act accordingly. And this goes back to Christianity as well, shifting away from the educational perspective. As Christians, we have to be careful how we present ourselves online, especially in the fourth industrial revolutions, because people are always watching. And the thing about online platforms is that this is an informational platform that people use to form or to confirm their assumptions, and also, to form their analysis. Right? And what I realize is that, you see, the online platform, it is a very unforgiving world. So whatever you do on the internet today can determine your success in the future. So you decide what is it that you want for your future. And whatever you want for your future should guide you along the way. And it should be a motivational factor as to how you present yourself today. Because don't think you can just post something online and it's going to disappear in 10 years, 5 years. Look at some of the political leaders that we know vote for, that we know admire. Most of those political leaders, they have persons behind the keyboards, persons who we classify as cyber bullies, who decide that, listen, you are in power, but you are not going to get a smooth ride. So guess what? Those persons make it their point of duties to dig up your past, to search through all your social media platforms. To be honest, sometimes I don't know how they do it. Sometimes I see some pictures circulating, and some posts and some things circulating, about our leaders and persons who we admire. And it doesn't mean that they have not changed, because sometimes we do get mature and we change. But guess what? Whatever you post will basically be with you forever. So you have to be careful, because this world is, whether we want to accept it or not, is filled with both good and bad people. Right? So your digital brand is very important, protect it with your all and might, right? To add to that, the other point that I wish to bring across this morning is to choose the right platform. Now, we are faced with multiple digital platforms. We have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have Snapchat, we have TikTok, we have Twitter, and you name it. Now, is it that because we have access to all of those, you want to be present on all of those? Or is it that you are going to join the ones that are purposeful in your life to advance your mandate? Right? So in looking at those and analyzing those, you have to now say, okay, all right, this platform is a platform that I'm going to use to push my business. This platform is a platform that I'm going to use for my live resume or my online resume to show people what the work that I've been doing and what I have to offer and so on. You cannot just say, okay, I want to be famous. I want to be internet celebrity. So I'm going to go with the flow and join everything. You have to be purposeful. You don't want to be here, there, and everywhere. So you have to now research the platforms properly. If you're going to position yourself as a future leader, you don't want to be seen on things like TikTok and all of those things, doing those foolishness. They're fun enough, don't get me wrong, because I've seen some from time to time and I laugh so much because of how funny they are, right? But at the same time, there is a time and place for everything. You have to know your time and the place, right? And they have a saying that says it's not everything is for everybody. Right? Those people who are on it, they know their purpose. You have persons who are now starting YouTube channels. They know their purpose. It's a form of investment for them. They're doing it for money, right? But what is your purpose? It must not be said that you're going to do it because everybody is doing it. The persons who are doing it, most of them, they know why they're doing it, right? So as I said before, choose the right platform. Now, another important point that I wish to bring across is to let your voice be heard. Most of the times we suffer from, being silent because we believe that there is not a seat at the table for everybody. Or we believe that if we do speak what we feel, if we do share our opinions, we're going to be judged. And it's like we talk ourselves out of everything. And because of that, we take the back seat and we let those great ideas die. We let those great suggestions that we have die. We let those innovative thoughts die, right? Now, depending on the vision that you have for your life, you have to let that guide you accordingly and use your voice as your main weapon in a good way, as your main tool in a good way to transform or to bring change in the fourth industrial revolution. And then you cannot just sit back and expect change to just come and drop in your lap. You have to ensure that you get up and get involved, find out what is happening, and ask, how can I help? How can I help to push this advocacy? How can I help to transform this objective? How can I help, in different ways? So we have to ensure that we know how to present ourselves out there so that we can become marketable for the fourth industrial revolution. All right. This quote that I spoke about earlier, while I was discussing the points about becoming marketable, a few points came back, in my mind. And I was multitasking while thinking. I'm not sure if you can do that, but with the lecturer in me, I was thinking all over the place. And it says, an important point came to me, and I said I should share this with the listeners. Now, when it comes on to the fourth industrial revolution, the world went a long way from the first industrial revolution, which is obvious. And when the first industrial revolution kicked in, prior to this, people used what we call, the water and steam power to mechanize production. And for the persons who study science, they will, know what I'm talking about. And it must be noted that this was an excellent way to automate some processes and speed up human development, because as you know, as the years go by, the more advanced technologies will be introduced to us, and the more job opportunities will rise, especially in the field of technology, right? And this revolution enabled people to do more and thrive for more. Soon after, the electric power enabled the second industrial revolution to create mass production. And that is the reason why, even if you look in wholesales and supermarkets, most of the large supermarkets, they are able to sell products in bulk. Because guess what? We have passed that industrial revolution where we can now produce things in bulk to meet the needs and wants of our people. In going back to the third revolution, the third industrial revolution used information technology and electronics to automate production. And I'm not sure of the age groups that we have here, but for some people, they would have recalled what we call High Five, MySpace, Instant Messenger, and all of those things, right? Right, and BlackBerry and so on. And the first time, we didn't even have to ask persons for their numbers. We could just say, what is your BB pin, your BlackBerry pin? And right away, you connect with the person, right? So that was during the third industrial revolution. And then now, as we began to shift over into the fourth revolution, we started to see the evolution of MacBook, Apple products, and so on, which caused BlackBerry to die. And the observation went on with the evolution of more advanced technology. And that's when we started to see, mass competitors who started to come in and introduce new and more advanced technology to our people. And that spoke to my point earlier about the speeding up of human developments. Now, with the fourth revolution, it is actually building upon the third one. And now humanity is reaching full digitalization, that's the word, right? So you find that with that, we are now able to use the internet for everything. For online research, we no longer need to go to the library where we have to borrow books for 2 weeks and then rush to take it back in order to complete an assignment. We no longer have to search for a dictionary. A matter of fact, if we cannot pronounce words, we now have Google, where you can just type in the word and click that little speaker box and get Google to pronounce the word for you. Now we can travel freely because guess what? We have Google Translate online on different apps where you can just type in what you want to say to someone who does not speak English and get the instant, translation. And most of the other apps provide a speech feature where you can speak into that and it translates what you are saying into the language of the other person, right? Now, the fourth industrial revolution is characterized by a fusion of technologies that is basically blurring the lines between the physical, digital, and biological spheres. And people nowadays witness the rapid growth, and I'm sure that many of you do plan to share with your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren how we enjoyed the best of technology, even though they will have better technology, right? Now, almost everything is transformed today because of the evolution of the Industrial Revolution. Food is now being ordered online. I think over the weekend, we heard, not over the weekend, but prior to that, when the government had their last advisory session, they introduced ENS. And ENS is a new platform or app that you can use to order food from different restaurants and get that same food being delivered to your doorstep, right? And if we were to look at it from a global perspective, we could say we have Uber, where persons can now, use their apps and request a taxi. And with technology, the taxi and the built-in GPS directs the taxi straight to your address. So you don't even have to say, okay, I live at lot 111, because the GPS, which is built into your phone, will direct that taxi driver to you. Also, if you're at home, you can sit in your living room and say, I don't feel like cooking today. And I'm talking from a global perspective. No, you can say, I don't feel like cooking today. So guess what? You have Uber Eats. And earlier in this month, we heard the announcement that Uber will be coming to Jamaica. So guess what? Very soon we will have Uber plus Uber Eats, right? Now, another transformation that we see in the fourth industrial revolution is that for ladies can actually see how they look in makeup online without even having on the makeup because of built-in platforms like augmented reality. For the persons in technology, they will know what I'm talking about. That can let you know how makeup looks on your face without even you putting it on. For persons who wear test glasses, you can now go online and use the built-in platform and try glasses to your faces. You can just upload your picture, then you try on the glasses online without being there present. And then they send, you put in your mailing address and they send that glasses to you. That's where the world is right now. And then to add to that, in terms of transformation, everything is streaming. Look at us now. We are here having a conversation, and at the same time, people can watch it from YouTube. People can also watch it from Facebook. We can also stream it to Instagram and so on. So with the fourth evolution, we have technologies at our fingertips to get information wherever we want it, right? Now, the schedule, your schedule with a doctor or a dentist or, at the spa can also be done online. You no longer need a phone to call and say, hello, can I get an appointment for such and such date? No, you can. Most of the doctors and dentists and spas, they now have a built-in app where you can just go on their websites and select a date, and the app will tell you whether or not that date is available, right? And then to shift away from the scheduling of appointments, the economy that we now live in is shared. And when I say shared, I mean persons can now share apartments. And for persons here, I'm not sure if you know about Airbnb, where we can use the internet to bring persons across the world into our household to make money, right? And this is another stream of income. You have persons, sometimes I go on, like when I'm traveling and I said, okay, I don't want to stay in any hotel, let me use an Airbnb. And when I look, you have some persons just renting the sofa in their living room. And I'm saying, look at this. That's where the world is heading. You have some persons on Airbnb, especially if they live in an adventurous countries where tourists just want somewhere to sleep for the night, they rent their sofa for 60 US, 50 US. And at the same time, they are there living in their household and still making money. That's where the world is right now, right? And with that said, we have to ensure that we take some of these things some of these transformations into consideration so that we can move with the time. Because trust me, if you do not educate yourself and move with the time, you are going to be left behind, right? And the final point about transformation is that people are connected on social media and an online community is being built. How many times have you joined social medias, different platforms, and you just start to connect with somebody who you have never met, and you and the person communicate all year long, and the person just becomes so close, like a sister, a brother, and you're saying, oh my God, thank God for Facebook. Oh my God, thank God for Instagram. And bop, right away, you are connected to another special human being because of social media. How many times you have been on social media and you are just commenting on a popular issue, and just from that one comment, you have built a community, right? That is where the world is heading. Now, in a nutshell, everything can be done remotely nowadays. Most of us were teaching from home. We no longer need to go, at the workplace, at the schools and so on to get things going, right? And that is basically showing up a lot of organizations, because before they used to say, boy, things can't be done from that, from that perspective. If back then, probably 4 years ago, 5 years ago, if you were to ask your boss if you could work from home, Jesus, they would let it, they would give you the impression as if the world is going to end and probably start to look for somebody else. But now they are more than happy to say yes, work from home. That is where we are in the fourth industrial revolution, right? Now, today, to add to that, millions of people even work online and from and remotely, right? And in that matter, people try to adopt so that they can gain an advantage in the global world that we are in, right? And the most significant difference between the fourth industrial revolution and ever previous is that the revolution is evolving at a more rapid pace rather than a linear pace. And this revolution is basically disrupting every industry in every country across the world. This is something that we cannot escape, none of us, right? And no matter how rich we are, no matter how poor we are, all of us with this new pandemic and everything that is going on, we have to adapt to time, right? Now, to add to what I said earlier about becoming marketable for the fourth industrial revolution, it is important that we look at the future of jobs or the jobs of the future. Now, online school. I was saying to a colleague that, listen to me, it's when you're studying, it takes a lot. And now is the best time to study. I shouldn't even be saying this as a lecturer. I shouldn't even be saying what I'm about to say as a lecturer. But now is the best time to study. You want to know why? Because studying online gives you a greater opportunity to showcase your potential more. And what I really mean is that, for instance, where exam is concerned, first time, I can tell you that it used to be nerve-wracking to go in and sit an exam because you are thinking that, boy, you know, I don't know if I'm going to fail, I don't know if I'm going to pass, and you have so many thoughts in your head. But with online learning, you have at least one day or a few hours before you can submit that exam. If you were to do that exam in person, then you are restricted to 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour. And at the end of that restricted time, you have to submit the paper immediately. Now with online learning, you have time that you can spend to answer the questions properly, right? And that is the advantage that students in today's society benefiting from. And that's one of the main reasons why I said, if I were to, well, I'm studying now, but you know, I was about to say if I were to study, now would be the best time, right? Now, online businesses is another form of future jobs, which we are now experiencing. Now, with online businesses, you now have an opportunity to meet your target markets and even target markets outside of your geographical reach. You are now able to tap into different geographical reach to sell the products that you have. Now, as a marketing lecturer, this is one of my favorite aspects of marketing to talk about. First time when you had your business, you had to think about overheads, right? You had to think about light bill, you had to think about water bill, you had to think about maintenance for the building that you were at, you have to think about your workers, everything. But with this pandemic that we are in, we now have the opportunity to showcase what we have using online platforms and built-in paying app where persons can just use their credit cards, pay you, and you just use a different, you know, a specific distribution channel to send the product to that person, right? What more could we ask for? This is the time that most of us are, you know, are happy to be in. This is the time that our grandparents and our foreparents wish they were in. With online businesses, you now have the opportunity to retain customers and also to gain customers, especially customers who are in as I said, different geographical reach and customers who, don't really know much about the products, but they are on that leaning side, and we consider those products, those customers rather, to be easily convinced. So with the online business now, you have to ensure that you tap into it in order to make enough money to survive in today's society. Because let me tell you something, with inflation and also, with the economies and that we are in, things are really hard. Things are hard, whether we want to accept it or not. So you have to ensure that you get up and do something for yourself. I hosted an AI, which is artificial intelligence workshop for UNESCO I think it was last year in Canada. And when I hosted the workshop, they actually sent me an email, right, to be the facilitator. And to be honest, at the time when they asked me, I knew nothing about artificial intelligence. And the first thing I said to myself before answering the email is, whoa, I'm not a scientist. I did not study science in school. I did, but I did not major in that. So how am I going to facilitate something that I'm not an expert in? And in order to facilitate it, it means that you are going to lead the conversation. And in order to lead the conversation, you have to be knowledgeable about this topic. And after talking myself into it, I said, listen to me. Knowing how I am going to roll with the flow, because my aim is to grow and to grow from strength to strength. And with that said, I replied, I said yes, and I took it on and I did my research, and I contacted my friends in the field of IT, my friends who are involved in coding. And trust me, you see, on that day, you couldn't tell if I didn't share the story. You couldn't tell that I was not knowledgeable about artificial intelligence all along. And we had a successful seminar. Now, I said that to say that sometimes you have to step out of your comfort zone and read widely, because of the time that we're heading in, and because of the industrial revolution that we're heading in. From time to time, we see documentaries, we see videos with robots and with self-cashiers and so on. Don't think that they're just showing that to entertain us. That is just an introduction of what is to come. Right? And with that said, it is important that you read and get yourself prepared for time to come, right? We also have the concept of 3D printing, and 3D printing gives a representation of, a real life effect of pictures, right? Most of us, we are used to the 2D printing and so on. But with that, it means that after a period of time, we are going to be able to engage with pictures that looks real, in a sense, if you understand what I'm saying. And most of those pictures can be viewed from different perspectives. You can see it from the back, the front, and so on. It's not like the still pictures that we have now, where you can just look at the front of the picture and that's it, right? I think it's called hologram. I think that is the word, where they are now able to use real life, to use a picture of a person and bring them back to life. I don't mean literal life. I mean, to give that effect as if they are here standing and talking. I've seen a clipping of that, and I've seen a documentary. So it means that we are heading there. Now, the fourth industrial revolution is all about new solutions and new technologies that can actually provide new, better, and faster solutions. With that said, the fourth industrial revolution is a global change, and we have seen some of the top jobs that we will be introduced to in the future. Now, with that said, in order to be prepared and be hired in some of those industries, and in order to be successful entrepreneurs, digital entrepreneurs, we have to ensure that we are skilled. And if you were to do your research, 10 skills that promised high-paying jobs in the past were: 1, complex problem solving. Now, back in the days, most employers used to say, boy, we want somebody with critical thinking skills, analytical thinking skills, someone who is able to solve problems, especially on their own. We need persons who are, people person. We call that interpersonal skills. We could even say we need persons with people management, persons who are able to negotiate. And when we talk about negotiate, we can talk about distributive negotiation and, and so on. Now, today, before I tell you about today, 5 other skills that they asked for in the past were quality control, service orientation, judgment and decision making, active listening, and creativity. You still have some traditional bosses who say, hey, we need persons who are creative, yes. So in today's society, you will still hear about, active listening and creativity, and you will still hear about wanting someone who's able to make decisions and so on. But that is fading, right? And with that said, we are now faced with different skills in today's society and in the 4th industrial revolution. Now, there are some skills that we overlook. And with those skills, there are basic skills that one should have. Have you ever heard the saying that says a man is educated, but they're a fool? Meaning that what it really means is that they are educated, but they don't know how to use the education. They don't know how to engage in critical thinking. They don't know how to apply that knowledge properly, right? So with that said, there are some simple skills that we need today that most of us oftentimes overlook. And what is it? One, we need to familiar ourselves with sending an email. Because let me tell you something. First time we were able to write, we were able to visit a friend and say, listen to me, this is an idea that I have that I want us to execute and so on and so forth. But guess what? In today's society, that very same friend who you would visit or who you could call up and say, let us meet tomorrow. Boy, that you see that the same friend is so busy trying to advance with time. And if you realize that everybody who we know now, they are all over the place trying to be somebody, trying to advance their lives. And because of that, it's hard to catch even the persons who you used to hang out with. And it's not that they change. We haven't changed. I'm actually putting myself into it. We are out there busy trying to move with time. So what you could do now is to ensure that you are familiar with the technology and how to send a simple email so you can catch that friend anywhere the friend is, right? So if the friend decides that he or she wants to travel to Canada, oh, well, that's no excuse. We can talk just the same, but, with email, right? You don't want to be tight. You don't want to be writing things and asking somebody to send an email for you. That's going to take a lot of time. You want to be able to do it yourself. And guess what? As a future business owner, and I am going to add the word digital, as a future digital business owner, you have to know how to send a simple email so that you can communicate with your customers at a very fast pace. Because your very customers, they do have options, and they have your very competitors who are sitting behind the keyboard waiting for them to come and ask the price. So have to ensure that you can type quickly so that you can communicate with your employees, and fulfill their requests and their needs and wants. Another simple skill is cooking. I know someone might be there saying, what? How cooking comes into this? But let me tell you something. You see, in this online world that we are in, you have to try to be as creative as possible. Now we are seeing different apps. We see the evolution of ends. And guess what? You see, if you could cook well, you could say, you know what? Let me just use my talent and cook up some food and just go register it and register it with Companies Office of Jamaica, and then register myself to ends and put myself out there on the online platforms and get people to buy from me. That basic cooking skills can push you further. and it can help you to pay for that education that you need. It can help you to build that dream house that you want. It can help you to buy that dream car that you want. Even though material, things, is not really, that much importance that we should stress on it. But at the same time, you want to live comfortable, right? And also, it is important that you know how to build on your skills. Now, we have a lot of self-taught persons who did not attend university for a particular skills, but guess what? You don't need to attend university to gain a skill. Thank God we now have the University of YouTube. I'm not sure if you know about the University of YouTube. If you don't know, get yourself familiar. We can enroll ourselves to the University of YouTube and ensure that we learn a skill. Everything that you think about, there is someone on YouTube teaching you how to do it. Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to teach you to cook lasagna. Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to teach you to fix a car. And anything that you have, any idea. I remember I was thinking about something recently and I feel so embarrassed to ask somebody about it. And I said, I don't think this information is going to be online, And when I type in the keywords in YouTube, I was shocked to see everybody all over the place saying, hi, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to teach you about this. And I was like, wow. And today, now talking to you, I can say, listen to me. That's the fourth industrial revolution that we are living in, right? I'm trying not to bore you. I have a class shortly at 1:30, so let me just hurry and wrap up. And to add to that, to add to what I just said earlier, you can teach yourself. So you have no excuse. You don't have any excuse to say, boy, I don't have any money to go back to school. Huh? Welcome to the fourth revolution where you can sign up for free online courses. If you don't know where to find them, use Google, make Google your best friend, type in free online courses and and enroll yourselves to use those, courses to build on your skills, right? So those are very important. It is important that as you move forward with the fourth industrial revolution, that you are able to think in an innovative manner, that you are creative, and that you are able to solve problems, even though research shows that problem solving was aligned with a prior industrial revolution. I strongly believe that problem solving is still important in this revolution, because sometimes you sit and, I know you don't know it all, and sometimes there are some problems that you have to literally sit and solve on your own. All right. You also have to ensure that you are aware, you are self-aware. In order to survive in this fourth industrial revolution, you have to be confident within yourself. You can't just talk yourself out of it and say, boy, I don't know how to do this. Boy, I don't have any help. Boy, I'm going to make mistake. Boy, you have to ensure that whatever you are weak in, you do a self-assessment and you build on those weaknesses so that you can advance your strengths to move with the age of time and the industrial revolution that we are in. Self-motivation is critical in today's age. You also have to ensure that you are self-motivated so that even when the world is burning, they have a saying to say when Rome is burning. So even when the world is burning down, you can remain standing firmly rooted and say, listen to me, I don't care what is going on around me, I shall not be moved. I am here to stay and I'm here to advance with the future and time. You cannot just because someone critique you negatively, you just fall, and say, boy, that person was mean, so I'm not going to continue. No. We don't have time for that. You also have to ensure that you build on your social skills, because let me tell you something. I'm not sure how many of you know, but you see the thing that they call nepotism, and I will explain what is nepotism. Nepotism is a big problem that we're facing here in Jamaica, where is who know who. So no matter how qualified you are most times, trust me, if you don't know someone in an industry, then it's going to be very hard for you to be employed. And that is a problem that we face in Jamaica. So you have to ensure that you build on your social skills and don't just sit and say, boy, life is unfair. Why is life like this? Why is it that they're just employing friends? Listen to me. Ensure that you move with time and build your social skills so that you can meet people, so that you can meet the right people to, to advance as you go along. And it's not only about meeting the right people for advancement, but so that you can also help them to go from strength to strength, because we don't want to be selfish, right? You also have to learn how to be flexible, because things will change. And we are living in an unstable time where things are uncertain. We don't know what is going to take place tomorrow. So you could be here and saying, boy, in the next 5 years, I want to be a doctor. In the next 5 years, I want to be a billionaire. In the next 5 years, I'm going to build my house. And then when you look, bam, things just start to fall all around you. So you have to learn how to adapt to change with flexibility so that you can advance with time. You also have to ensure that you know how to utilize judgment and decision making so that you can make the right decisions. And as Christians, you have to know how to use the spirit of discernment whenever you are making decisions. Don't just jump and say yes because it looks pretty or it is glittering. Everything that glitters. It's not gold. And you have to ensure that you pray about things before you engage in them. Then the final point that I think I want to talk about today as it relates to the skills for the fourth revolution is negotiation. Because from time to time, you will have to talk to people, and you alone cannot go through this world. This world is like a web. So you have to pull on another person's strength in order to execute, right? And that's why team spirit is very important. So you have to learn how to negotiate. And in negotiating, you have to know how to be a people person, how to talk to people, how to use the right communication message to appeal to, the person who you are negotiating with. All right. And then finally, critical thinking skills. Critical thinking skills, that's very important in today's society, because you have to know how to utilize your education with your street smart sense. You have to know how to, as I said before, move with time using what you have learned theoretically with what you have learned from life itself, right? Before I go, it is also important that, you have a vision. Have a vision. Don't just think about today, think about the future. And for most persons who know about vision board, that's a very good tool to use. And vision board to me is just a pictorial reminder to remind you where you are heading, to remind you of your aspirations, to say, this is where I see myself in the future, or these are the things that I want to achieve next year or the following year. Right? You also have to ensure that you learn from people who have been there in the industry. Get someone who is successful to be your motivator and say, I want to be like that person because that person has been successful in that particular field. And then you try to reach out to the person and say, look, I admire you so much. What is it that you have been doing that has made you so successful? And you learn from those people, right? You also have to ensure that you work on your leadership skills, because you don't want to just be a follower all your life. You want to ensure that you lead at least once in your life so that you can help to change the world and so that you can leave your legacy behind. You also want to ensure that in finding your mentor, that you mentor someone as soon as you have grown, right? Because you have to leave the ladder for someone else to climb, right? You also have to ensure that you participate in the creative process, that you speak out and let people know, how you feel at times, and talk about the things that you are passionate about so that you can help to create change. Believe it or not, we are currently moving at a rapid pace. We are in the fourth industrial revolution. And before you before you could even imagine we are going to move forward to another revolution. I hope I was able to educate or enlighten you and that you enjoyed my presentation. I wish I could stay longer, but I have a class at 1:30. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for listening. Host, back over to you. All right, in the meantime, just to be creative while we wait on our host to return, I'm going to open the floor for any questions. Remember, I think I just have 5 minutes remaining because I have an online class to run to. All right, so while we wait on the host, do you have any questions? Any questions? All right, no questions. All right, I'm not seeing the host here. Maybe he is experiencing internet challenges. So
yeah, I think he had that problem earlier, so maybe that's what's happening now.
Oh, okay.
Just hold on a minute.
Okay, all right.
Okay, while we wait on the host, let me just take this opportunity to say a big thank you to Ms. Santana Maris for taking time out of her busy schedule to, and for presenting to us so amiable. We appreciate you, and I know that the information was well received, and we are
Yes.
truly grateful.
Thank you very much, my
All right.
friend. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Before you go, my internet just went out a while ago. I'm not sure
That's
what's
okay.
the issue with especially the St. James era. I like how you mentioned, how important it is to build build your brand. And your brand is your name, and a name that is attached to you and your characteristics, right? And you shared some tips as you closed in building your brand. My brand is Roberto Foster. That is my brand. Her brand is Santana Morris, right? So your brand is simply how you bring yourself across, to the public. And you mentioned flexibility. You mentioned working on your critical thinking, problem solving, your social skills, and also upskill yourself, read more to learn more. As it is now, since this pandemic hit in March last year, I've been a part of so many free online certificate courses, etc. And some things that I don't know if I may need them for the future, but nevertheless I took part in them. So take advantage of all that is before us. Right? This virus presented many opportunity, or has been presenting many opportunity for us to really move with things and to get ourselves brush. Maybe you're putting on the back burner something, you need to pull it to the forefront and work on it and so on. So you mentioned that upskill yourself, read more to learn more, networking and collaboration. It is so important to network, to have persons in your circle, have persons in your corner who you can call on, persons to say, okay. So if you stay all to yourself, you hardly talk much and so on, and you don't know how to get yourself out there, you need to change that narrative and to build the network more, right? So somebody was asking, somebody was asking, Miss Morris, how do you suggest platforms to use? I would like to know what are some platforms that you would suggest that we use to, in terms of creating a fresh start, etc.
All right, thank you very much for that question. I find Facebook to be very useful, and one of the major reasons why I would recommend Facebook is because of the many features where you can now create a page separate from your private page to host businesses. And a matter of fact, you can also do lives. I've seen many motivational speakers creating live videos, and most businesses hosting different workshops and so on using the Facebook platform. And then it depends on the audience as well that you are looking to target, because with social media, they do have their audiences. If you go on TikTok, you cannot expect to be taken seriously where business is concerned, because people go to TikTok for a good laugh, to have fun, for social activities and so on. Rather, with Facebook, you find that you have a more professional segment of the market there, where you have political leaders trying to showcase what they're doing. You have businesses trying to showcase the products that they have selling. Same for Instagram, even though Instagram can also be categorized in a social media platform and also a business platform, because I now see where we have the feature for shops on Instagram, where you can put the products there and purchase them right there, which is linked to a website. So I would recommend Instagram and Facebook. And again, to add to that, it depends on your end goal, to be honest. Because even Twitter is a very relative safe platform to use, but at the same time, it depends on the goal that you have for yourself.
Right. So it's the what for when and for how. Right.
Right. So before you think about the platform, you need to write down your goals to say, what is it that I hope to achieve? Because all the different platforms have different goals.
Yes. And we mentioned earlier social media community. It may seem as if it's a huge thing, but the minute you open a Facebook account, an Instagram account, and persons are following you, that is a community, and you're sharing stuff, pictures, etc. That is a community, and those who like it, those who like your content, etc. That is a community, right? You're on your WhatsApp, you're sharing statuses, etc., and persons view it. That is a community as well. So it's how you put yourself out there to your community that will help to build your brand and to preserve your reputation and your characteristics, etc. So for those who are fearful of technology and fearful of how it has advanced, and boy, me just can't bother because me not sure, and me just afraid and this and that and whatever. We just need to get with it, because whether or not we are on board, it is going to be going ahead. The other day I heard the tax office saying that no, you're going to have to do some stuff online, and some places are going paperless, and you have to do stuff online, you have to fill out stuff online. I heard the other day the embassy says, I think I'm not sure if it's you stay from home and conduct the interview or something like that and so on. So a lot of stuff are being moved online because of COVID, which has caused an instant push. So we have to get with the time to remain relevant as people of all age group. So thank you very much, Miss Morris, for taking the time out to, as your president earlier expressed, for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and talk to us about becoming marketable for the fourth industrial revolution. Thank you.
You are welcome, and I hope I was able to impact your audience and that they were able to take away a few points from that presentation. Thank you again.
Yes, and as token of our appreciation, this certificate will be emailed to you, right, for your presentation to us this afternoon. Thank you. All
Okay.
right. So as we continue, will rejoin. Thank you again for everybody thank you again everyone for coming out, and also we meet again at 6 p.m. where we will meet for our gender talk part 2. Female, there are some issues, and there are some issues that we need to iron out. There are some stuff that we need clarity on, and it's one thing to hear it from a source, but the right source, right? So we're going to be fleshing out some more issues that are affecting, our different genders, so male among themselves, female among themselves, and we'll be having a fruitful discussion. So come out again at 6 p.m. later today for our last segment for today. All right? So see you then, and thank you again for coming out.